Okay, good evening. Welcome to the September 27th, 2020 meeting of the Marshfield Planning Board. Tonight's meeting is being recorded by MCTV, and the meeting is being held via Zoom. Our members here tonight are Katie O'Donnell, Fred Monaco, Nick Papastratis, Kevin Cantwell. Looks like Peg Davis is absent, and I am Mike Viviano, the chair. Also with us tonight is Greg Guimon, our town planner, and Karen Horn, our assistant town planner. At this time, I'll make a motion to open tonight's public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Fred seconded. Katie?
Aye. Katie O'Donnell.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick?
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. So the meeting is open, and tonight's first agenda item, it would be, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for Article 31 of the Fall Town meeting.
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye. Katie O'Donnell.
Thank you, Fred.
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, Andrew, I think it's you for this, or is it Greg?
Andrew.
Okay.
Greg, were you able to put the share the screen and put our little letter up here? Joe, do you want me to read this, or do you want to read it?
Sure. I'll take over.
All right. Well, I'm going to let Joe Rossi read it. Joe is the chair of the CRS committee, and I'll let him take over.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, great. So I want to thank everybody for having Andrew and I here tonight. Tonight I'm representing the PPI CRS committee as chair. For those of you that may not be familiar with our committee, our mission, as stated, and you'll see that on the screen, is to implement the community rating system for the town of Marshfield and to coordinate with stakeholders, FEMA and others to carry out the activities within the CRS program. The CRS program, in short, is a program that awards communities with discounts on NFIP policies, so flood insurance policies through the National Flood Insurance Program, for doing different activities such as flood risk reduction activities, outreach and information activities, and more. So more importantly, though, than the discount, which of course is a great benefit, it also makes the town more resilient. And so the CRS program, as you'll see in the letter here, there's only 25 communities that are part of CRS in Massachusetts. 9 are class 7, including the town of Marshfield. So we're actually fortunate enough to be one of the top rated communities in the CRS program. And on the right hand of my right hand side of the screen, you'll see the different classes. 0 or 10 is no points, and 1 is the most points. And here's a quiz. There's only 2 CRS class 1s. The most recent is Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it doesn't have to be coastal communities that end up being proficient in CRS. It's just kind of a cool trivia question. The other one is Roseville, California. So it's our committee's goal. So I should state, though, that what the letter doesn't say is that we have actually surpassed our original goal of being a class 7 in 5 years. We were able to go from a class 10 to a class 7, or I should say class 9, to class 7 in 2 years. So we surpassed that. So now we've set our goals higher. And it's our committee's goal to be the first community in Massachusetts to reach class 6. Not only would this provide a 20% discount to NFIP policies and be one of only 250 communities in the nation to be a class 6, but it would also prove and show that Marshfield really would be more resilient to flood hazards. And I don't have to remind everybody how vulnerable our community, along with others here on the coast of Massachusetts, are vulnerable to flooding. Article 31 is one of several different ways that our committee is planning to reach that goal. So Article 31 provides the following benefits to the community and CRS. So we're actually providing 2 benefits here. The first is it actually formalizes what is already required by the building code, which is Andrew, obviously, is the implements the building code here in Marshfield. And this is something, what the article is requesting is formalizing something that's already required and implemented by building code. So forget CRS, this is something that has to already happen in the town. In addition, not only does it formalize this part of the building code, but it gives roughly 50 points towards the CRS program here in Marshfield. We are only 200 to 300 points away from being a class 6. So even though 50 points might not sound like a lot, we're actually fairly close already to class 6. Article 31 would only apply to those in the special flood hazard area. So think of those A or B flood zones, which are also coincidentally those who benefit from the CRS program. So we're helping those that it applies to benefit from CRS. Ensures continued compliance with the CRS program, preventing any violations or issues during CRS or CAV visits. So CRS is audited once every 5 years, but CAV or community assistance visits are not part of CRS, but are equally important to the sustainability of Marshfield's standings within the National Flood Insurance Program. Community assistance visits is when the state comes in and audits us, not related to CRS. They come to Andrew and they say, hey, how have you been doing in complying with the building code? If we fail that, we actually fall out of the NFIP, not just CRS. So there's a much bigger issue here. In compliance with Article 31, even without the CRS discount, HELPS gives breaks on flood insurance, both NFIP and private flood. So Article 31 is basically saying you need to have the enclosure below your lowest floor only for parking, building access, and storage. That is a requirement as well to get lower flood insurance rates without CRS. So we're serving a third greater good as well. So we appreciate.
Joe, can I interrupt for 1 second?
Sure.
And that's for enclosed areas below the base flood elevation.
Yes. Yep. So in Marshfield, that applies to a lot of structures, but those say detached or attached garages, we know some of them actually sit up higher than base flood elevation. That's an enclosure, but would not apply here because that's not below the base flood elevation. So the committee, of course, and Andrew and others that are on the committee, we appreciate the consideration of this article. And as always, the town, planning board, and others have always been an advocate and have supported our efforts in floodplain management. So we appreciate your continued support. And Andrew and I will take any questions now.
Any questions from the board at all? Joey, I think it's great work you guys have done on this committee. And I think that's something to be pretty proud of if you're really going to get to step 6. That's great for everybody that's involved. So thank you for the work. I don't have any questions. You explained everything to me just fine. Anyone else at all?
No, I would second that.
Yeah, definitely. I would third it.
All right. Well, thank you for your work on that.
Oh, come on, we're looking for a 4th from Nick.
All right, yeah, you get the 4th from me. Thanks,
No,
guys.
thank you.
Thanks
Seriously,
very much.
Yeah, we appreciate it very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Andrew.
So Greg, we're just looking to have a,
So you would close the public hearing.
okay,
And then later on, I have on the agenda that the board would vote on all the zoning articles.
okay,
Your recommendation for town meeting?
okay, great. Well, thank you, Joe, Andrew. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to close tonight's public hearing on this.
Mike, you just want to check to see, I don't see any hands raised. I don't see
No.
anything on chat. Just ask the public if anybody in the audience has any questions.
Is anyone from the public here looking to comment at all?
Okay, no emails either. You're good.
All right, so seeing none, I'm going to make a motion that we close this this item. Is there a second?
Katie O'Donnell. Aye. Katie O'Donnell.
Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Oh, there's Peg. Peg
Peg Davis, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
Have a
Presentation.
good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you, Andrew.
Let's see. Next will be DJ Sullivan for our deliberation on his decision. So Greg, I'll let you take that over.
All right, so the public hearing and the public record have been closed. This is for the board's deliberation and vote on the decision. I did send you guys a slightly revised decision at the end of last week. The changes are highlighted in bold. And this is after I got some correspondence from DJ's attorney, Adam Brodsky. And some of it was just things we realized we needed to add, like on the first page, September 27th, because that's tonight's date. We had originally drafted this for several meetings ago. The vote is still blank at the bottom of page 1 and continue to July 12th. No changes on page 2. No changes on page 3. No changes on page 4. On page 5, we added a 17, number 17 to the findings. And that was because the applicant had mentioned during the public hearing process that there was an existing monitoring well located someplace on the property. He didn't have any specifics at the time. But we wanted to add that finding in because we've also added a condition in that would allow them to use that monitoring well so long as it meets the criteria for the monitoring wells. So that was a new 17 on page 5 to the findings. Right after that findings, we still have that where the vote would go in. On conditions, condition number 2, we've changed from 30 days to 60 days. From the date that it's filed with the town clerk for them to get the monitoring wells installed. On page 6, E, that the applicant should provide the details on the installation of the wells, including the drilling logs, et cetera, to the planning board within 30 days of their installation. And then F, if the applicant wishes to request the use of the existing monitoring well, information must be submitted to the planning board that demonstrates that the well meets the requirements as listed in this condition. The well information must include the location and details in the construction logs. After review of the planning board's consultant, the planning board may approve the use of the well. Under condition 3A, I've added after a year, the applicant may request a reduction in the sampling frequency. And again, after the review of planning board's consultant, that the sampling frequency may be reduced to semi-annually by the planning board. So it's setting up conditions that can be met if they so choose to go in that direction. And then on D of that same condition number 3 on page 7, after a year, the applicant may request a change to the required compounds and assays testing. After review of the planning board's consultant, again, the board can modify it. Now, on the testing, the amount of things they test for, the more things that you test for, the higher the cost. And after we get a base feeling of what's going on, the board has the ability, if they want, they can drop some of those areas or compounds that you would test for, and that would lessen the monitoring well reports or on the applicant side. On page 7, number 6, in about halfway through the condition, we added the hazardous materials, storage, and containment. So that's the documentation of those things specifically, including the photographs and stuff. So we were just making sure that's what we wanted to be shown. And that is the changes from the previous draft for the final draft for the board to discuss and consider to vote on.
Greg, if I can, there's just the typo with the date for number 9, April 29th. It says,
Oh, well,
I
the
think it should just be
date on the bottom of the page has to be changed. That's something else.
oh yeah.
'Cause
But
it's
number
September
9,
8th.
I think it needs to be April 29th, 2021. It's like a 9 at the end of it randomly.
Oh, I see it. Yep. Okay. The applicant had raised something else that we had not changed, that they would like some containers on the property. staff discussed it and basically our recommendation to the board is, since this had not been shown on the site plans, had not been brought up at the public hearing, that the applicant has the opportunity to come in and request a modification in the future to have containers on the site if that's what they so choose.
There gotta be a storage container that would be stored outside.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
Is that prohibited right now because that's outdoor storage?
yeah. Right now, the way it's written, there's no outside storage allowed. And that was the way the previous decision, the original decision, was drafted as well.
Okay.
If I may, the two of those containers have been on the property at least 30 years.
Okay. I still think your special permit reads you're not allowed to have any outdoor storage. If they've been there or not.
I think the containers is something that shouldn't really exist as far as that being part of the special permit for what's already existing. If we want to add more, I could see the understanding of getting modification, but what's already existing on the property, I think, I don't think the storage containers are concerned, as far as the water resource protection. There's nothing in the containers that are hazardous, and they've been there forever.
If I might clarify, I think the misunderstanding is when we were talking about outdoor storage originally, it was things like cars and things parked out there. The containers we all saw on the various site visits, and that's contained within the containers. I don't think anyone anticipated that the containers themselves would be considered to be outdoor storage. So that's why it was a non-issue from our point of view. And again, they've been in existence. So my suggestion was allow us to have the containers, but to condition the use of the containers to prohibit the storage of hazardous materials, which is what you're trying to accomplish by protecting the aquifer. So I think that's where we had a sort of not misunderstanding, but a different view of the world, because we never anticipated that those enclosed containers were quote unquote outdoor storage.
Greg, what do the storage containers fall under zoning wise?
Well, they were not shown on the site plan. They were not brought up at the public hearing. We have no idea what's in those containers. And I don't think at this date, because you had already closed the public hearing and the public record was closed, that we should get into modifying the decision as it stands for something that was not provided to the public during the process.
I have concerns about that too. I just think that with the public, I'm concerned about, open meeting law with the hearing and the written record already closed.
Yeah, I agree with you, Katie and Greg.
Yeah, I also as well have the same concerns that Katie has, yeah.
So I would support Greg's recommendation, I guess, to have them come back in for modification.
So we have to modify what's already existing here that we've all seen and walked around and you've seen on video. We have to go in for a modification for something that's already existed and we all know that's there.
So you don't have a permitted structure. What you have is a portable metal storage box outside. So I don't know when this came up or who brought these up.
Well, it came up as,
I think Greg's right.
I mean, just because they were there doesn't mean it's right. So, I mean, it needs to be handled in the proper platform, I feel. So I think it should be. So Greg, this will come back through as a public hearing then with a modification.
Yeah, they would request a modification. And if there's other things that they would want to clarify or change, that would be the opportunity as well. And Dan, it wasn't shown on the site plans. We spent a lot of time trying to get those site plans correct.
I know.
To be honest with you, I didn't see any storage containers when we walked that site that time. There might have been a tractor trailer truck thing sitting back there at some point.
No, we walked right by them. It was right by the oil tank that you thought was there. But
that
that's
was,
fine.
I thought, the dumpster location.
It's right next to the dumpster.
Okay, well, again, I did not notice a container pod or anything there.
All right, well, I think everyone said what they need to. You may be wanting to come back for a modification for other things anyway, so probably not the end of the world that you're gonna have to do that. So I think we just keep moving forward.
Okay.
Anything else, Greg?
No, I mean, this basically cleans up a number of different issues. We didn't get everything, but we've gotten the majority of the site resolved.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's been a long time. We've all had a lot of patience with it. I'm glad we're getting it done. Anything else from the board at all?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have to call for the public, right? There's no more discussion.
No, there was no more discussion.
Okay. How does this motion read?
Would be approved as drafted for
Okay.
the special permit. It could be as simple as that.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve this special permit as drafted for 612 Plain Street. DJ Sullivan, is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick?
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin? Kevin's on mute.
Kevin Cantwell, yes.
Thank you. Greg, does Peg vote on this?
She doesn't have to because you already have 5 votes.
Okay.
If you vote,
And Mike Viviano, yes. Peg, you want to vote on it?
Sure. Peg Davis, aye.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. I'm glad we got that done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Adam. Okay, good night,
Thank you.
guys. See.
so the next one on the is for voting on the planning board articles and on the building commissioner's zoning articles.
Okay, I'll let you take over, Greg.
So we've had some feedback on the Brant Rock Village overlay. We've been spending some time and gathering some information and providing that to the people that have had questions on the building height in particular. Most of the other articles, we haven't heard any other public comment on. As far as on the planning staff's concerned, we're comfortable with you guys recommending positively on the zoning articles as submitted for both the planning board side and also on the building commissioner side.
Okay, any comment from the board at all?
Yeah, Greg, just for clarification, I was trying to just pull it up. The dimension there, the 30, this is in regards to the 35 feet.
Yeah.
What's the baseline of that dimension from? Is that from
You're talking about Brant Rock Village overlay?
Yeah.
The ground and it's specifically because it depends on where you are in Brant Rock Esplanade. The lowest area is at elevation 6 on the ground at the Othram Pass. So it is now a base flood elevation of 12. So you have to go 6 feet above the ground. Then you have to go 1 additional foot required for FEMA because it's going to be commercial as well as residential structure.
Mm-hmm.
So that is 7 feet above the ground is where that first floor, the top of the first floor starts.
Okay.
And then your height goes from there.
All right.
And
thanks. Yeah.
304 and 308 Ocean Street are just a little taller than what buildings under this modified Brant Rock Village overlay would look like for the height and stuff.
I see.
Because we've had a lot of questions. Well, what is that compared to this? The sub tower is at 770 feet. So this would top out. Top of the 3rd floor would be 37 feet versus 35 feet. And the mean height of that, the roof, if you had a pitched roof,
Yep.
would be at 42. The sub tower is 70 feet high, so you have an additional 30 feet higher. The sub tower is 30 feet higher than these buildings would be.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of fear that they were going to be close to. And they're nowhere near being as tall as the sub tower.
That answer your question, Nick?
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Greg.
You're welcome. I did send you guys some of the correspondence and emails on that this today. So if you go through, you'll see I have some more details on that.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah.
Okay,
So this is on articles. Hold on one second. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 31.
we're voting on 11 through 31.
11 through, well, excluding 29 and 30, because those are other articles on conservation things.
Okay,
And the town moderator is planning on going at town meeting. He wants to move the DPW barn article forward. And then he wants to move the zoning articles all together. So I do the one presentation for everything. We answer all the questions, and then each article would be voted on separately. And then the third thing he mentioned that he was looking forward to doing is to move the articles that refer to changing the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board and having them move together and voted on as well.
okay, sounds good. I'll make a motion that we are going to, hang on, just trying to pull up the agenda. Make a motion that we recommend all zoning articles 11 through 29 and also 31 at our next town meeting. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Peg,
Peg Davis, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye.
And the second thing that the town moderator would like you guys to vote on is to have all the zoning articles moved together for town meeting.
We need to vote on that. That's not for him to do.
He asked to have the board vote to request that, so.
You guys want to do that?
Yes.
Well, I don't think it needs our vote. That's all I'm saying, but
If he's asking for it, I
Give him an
guess.
official vote, so he.
all right. I'm going to make a motion that we approve all the zoning articles being tied together at town meeting. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Fred,
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Peg,
Peg Davis, aye.
and Mike Viviano, aye. Thank you. This next one, we need to take a vote to add the Reed Street A&R to the agenda, and I will not be voting on it. So I'll let somebody else make the amendment to add that.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we add the Reed Street A&R to tonight's agenda. Do I have a second?
Second, Fred Monaco.
Katie,
Any discussion? All those in favor? So we have to do roll call to add, right? So Fred,
Yes, you do.
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Peg,
Peg Davis, aye.
okay, and Mike is recusing. Greg?
yes, thank you.
So the property in question, the house, the existing house, 16 Reed Street already exists. And what they're doing is they're separating the land to your left, which has area and frontage on Island Street. And I would, the planning staff does not have any problems with this A&R.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Yeah.
All right, I'd make a motion to approve the Reed Street A&R. Do I have to add any details to that, or is that enough?
No, that's enough.
I'll second the motion. Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick,
Nick Papastratis, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Peg.
Peg Davis, aye.
All right. And
Yourself, Katie.
I, Katie O'Donnell.
There we go.
Thank you. And I will hand it back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Katie. Looks like we're on board and staff report, Greg.
Yep, we have at least 3 items to just chat about. First, we got a letter that's addressed to you, Mike, from the Conservation Chair, dated today on conditions at John Sherman Estates. And they're primarily focused on drainage issues, ongoing drainage issues that they would like to coordinate with us. So I will make sure that you guys all see that, and I will talk with Bill about what we need to do to tie that up. John Sherman just seems to,
Keep coming back.
yes, have constant,
Like a bad penny.
it requires constant care.
So I did take a ride up there and I checked out a lot of things, and you know, that back driveway area is pretty difficult for large trucks to get up and down. My truck's just an F-250, and trying to turn on and going down the hill, you can't even see the road from the truck. So it's difficult. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be a lesson to be learned for us to put those kind of conditions
Yeah,
in.
that was an odd way, but it was a tough site. So
Yeah, I think it should have just been done between the 2 owners of the road. That's the whole reason it came up.
yeah.
We didn't have to get involved with it in our decision. They should have had private agreements.
Yeah.
So,
The second matter is we've been having some drainage issues on Adelaide, but unlike John Sherman, Mr. Gibbs has been on them. Typically the morning after he's got the situation cleaned up and corrected, and he has been constant on this. And we've had a couple of big rainstorms. He has a tough site. He's in the middle of doing that grading so he can get that retaining wall in. I'm not saying that we need anything. I just want you guys to be aware that there has been some complaints that have been filed. We've been going out. Bill Grafton has been going out a lot, and Greg Gibbs has been on it each time. The third matter is we've been asked about, and we're going to call it event locations, to look into it because we don't really have a clean fit category for, say, if you wanted a wedding venue or someplace where you could have weddings or other types of parties, etc., either as an accessory use to a residential lot or as a business venture itself. So the step one for Karen and I is we're going to be spending some time with the building commissioner to see if there's any possible way we can fit it into an already existing category. And if not, what are the parameters that we should start thinking about looking at for such a use if we were going to add it specifically to the table of use.
okay.
Karen, is there anything else on board staff report? You're on mute.
Sorry, I don't think so. No.
We did get a request from the building department to give them a map now that shows the overlay for the airport. Because I guess now anything over 20 feet in the airport FAA area needs to be reviewed by them.
Wow.
And if you're elevating homes on the beach, there's a good chance they're going to be over 20 feet. So having a map will be helpful for them. That's it on the staff side, Mike.
Okay. Let's see. Request for advice from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
We have not, nothing's been forwarded to us again. However, today we did receive, and I think I've already forwarded it to you. Modera Phase 2's first draft plan that they've submitted to the state. Now that's for the state site assignment. And basically all the state's looking at is, yeah, this area is okay to put a 40B on. They're not looking at specifics yet. That's going to be something that when they file with the Board of Appeals, the planning board, the board of Public Works, and all the other boards will have the opportunity to provide comments to try to modify, correct, improve, whatever, similar to what we did before. Go ahead. I see Peg has her hand up, Mike.
Yes, I was concerned because I did see Mike's initial memo that they are doing double the density. They're putting more units on less space. So I'm hoping that's going to come up for us to review because I have some concerns about that.
The density is almost double of what they've done on the previous site, and it is a smaller site. So I have a feeling that we'll probably not be the only board or department and stuff that has a concern with that.
When they first did Mill Creek 1 there, they did that too, and they came quite significantly down from when the first submission was. That was many years ago. I remember one of the first things from the housing partnership.
And that was because there was a lot of comment from both public town boards, et cetera, and the Board of Appeals basically said you need to downsize this.
Right.
And there was a lot of concern with 4 floors. I don't know how many floors are on these buildings yet.
I would imagine 4 at least.
We haven't gotten to the weeds yet of what they've submitted. When I saw that site plan, I said I better.
That's the first.
They did that in Hopkinton.
That's the first shot over the bow. That's how they're going to, they're going to start with us. I mean, they shoot for the moon like collective bargaining, and they set and eventually settle for what we want. Pretty much according to what the zoning and everything is.
Okay. Anything else for anyone?
Yeah.
All right, then I will move on to the minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 13, 2021. Is there a second?
Second, Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Fred?
Fred Monaco, aye.
Nick?
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin?
Kevin Cantwell, aye.
Peg?
Peg Davis, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Looks like that's everything on the agenda. Anything else at all, Greg?
Nope, that's it for us.
Okay.
Now, remember, we do not have a meeting in October at the moment. Town meeting is October 18th. We should have at least one member. And my feeling is, because I have been asked repeatedly by the town moderator and others, that we were not going to go for any modifications of the zoning articles, meaning the planning board is not proposing any changes. And you guys have now voted the articles as they are. So that's basically, there may be floor amendments and stuff, but as far as us, we're not making any changes to what's been submitted.
Sounds good.
So that's on the 18th, and then our next planning board meeting will be November 1st, Monday, November 1st.
Okay, great.
We have a little bit of a break because we got that holiday and then we have town meeting, and that kind of shoots October for us.
Okay, sounds good. And anything else from any of the members? Okay, seeing none, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Greg and Karen. We'll
Thank you, Mike.
see you in October. Make a motion. We're going to make a motion to close tonight's public hearing. Is there a second?
Katie O'Donnell. Aye, Katie O'Donnell.
Fred?
Aye, Fred Monaco.
Nick?
Nick Papastratus, aye.
Kevin jumped ship. Peg?
Peg Davis, aye.
And Mike Viviano, aye. Okay, we're closed. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good night.